Are you going to open up another class later on in the day?
I'm thinking about it.
I
Hopefully,
think what you have to offer would be very awesome.
oh no, thank you. Well, let's pull it together, and we are officially broadcasting. There we go, everybody. Just want to welcome you all to another great session of the Profit Acceleration Secrets podcast, where we are conducting another Profit Acceleration coaching session. And I am honored to have my guest today, Miss Ruby Russell. Ruby, how are you doing today?
I'm excellent. How are you, Jarvis?
Oh, doing very, very well. Ruby, I am really excited to learn more about you and everything you're doing. So I would love, Ruby, if you could just give us a quick introduction to you, your business. And I am already letting you know I'm going to ask questions about your amazing entrepreneurial journey as well. But let me turn the mic over to you.
Thanks for inviting me, Jarvis. I'm Ruby Russell. I'm a senior. I'm an entrepreneur, also an inventor.
Well, tell us about the invention. Now, I've already bragged to my wife. I was like, I am talking to someone who's invented something that I hate doing. My wife loves making up the bed, and I hate doing it. But please tell us more about your invention.
Oh, that's a good way to get it started. In 2013, my partner injured his back and he found it difficult to make the bed. I hate making the bed.
All right.
The only time I would do it was when he'd come up on the weekend. Now I've got two beds to make. So one day when he was on his way home, I gave it some thought about I've got to clear this up because I don't like making two beds. I don't even like making one. I invented a top sheet. It's called Stay Put. No matter how much you toss and turn, it's going to stay put. It has no corners. It ends at the end of the mattress. You do one tuck and you're done.
Mm,
It centers itself. Months later, after his injury, I had eye surgery that left me blind in my left eye.
mm.
With that, I started researching the challenges that the blind had in making a bed. And I invented Befitted Bedding. Befitted is an easy to make 3-step duvet cover, never having to stuff one ever again. And with that, after the research, I went on to change literally everything on the bed to make it easy enough for a child to make. And it's been named Accessible Beddings by the American Council of the Blind.
Wow. So I love just hearing that connection already with a very unique and I'm willing to say probably underserved group in the market that you serve. Let me ask you this before we really start talking about business goals and business strategies to help you push Befitted and Stay Put to the next level. Um, Walk us through the process to invent and have something patented. What does that look like? That's something I've personally never done or coached any of my business owners on, but I would love to just explore that just for a moment.
Well, the invention came out of a need to not have to make the bed every day. Um, and then the patent, we actually tested it for approximately 3 years
Mm,
after I came up with the design. I
mm.
came up with the design by attaching a sheet onto another sheet and cutting off the corners.
All right. And then the length of time for the patent process, you just mentioned testing for 3 years, but once you started doing the paperwork, was it easy? Did it involve like massive lawyers and legal fees? I am curious to ask that just for any of our business owners that are trying to figure that out at some point.
We did, we do have a patent attorney. Back in 1974, someone else came up with almost the same idea.
Wow.
Yeah. And we needed a patent attorney to help us design it to make it our own. And he was able to do that.
Nice. All right.
But it was pretty expensive. And I guess you could say I was lucky. I was 65 at the time. And if you're 65 years old, they will cut down the time that it takes for you to get a patent.
Nice. Fair enough. All right. So I will put that on some of my silver goals to come up with a good patent and have it expedited. But Ruby, I would love to jump into your business goals as you are at this point of your business momentum. Um, can you share with us? The goal of our conversation today is just to highlight different strategies to help you move to the next level, to help accelerate your profits and success. What does your business look like 6 to 12 months from now if we come up with some great ideas that you would want to implement in your business? Do you have specific goals that we can connect this to?
Well, I'll put it this way. When I started back in 2013, when I made my original design, there were three other companies that came out approximately the same time that I did. They were all able to receive funding from investors anywhere between $6 and $10 million.
Mm.
Well, I've been at this for 9 years, but I haven't been able to get an investor. I've had people want to buy the company, but no investment. So I've just had to, we've been bootstrapping it all to this point.
Okay.
And right now we're trying to get the word out. Maybe we'll end up bootstrapping it to billions because we're the first significant change in bedding since the invention of the fitted sheet. The name Befitted arrives from the respect that I'm showing to my hero, Bertha Berman. Bertha Berman was an African American woman who invented the toothbrush holder in 1937.
Okay.
In 1957, she invented the fitted sheet. If you look her up, there's only a couple of paragraphs on her inventions and on her life. I hope to change that because the package of my sheets, you have two women of color with an invention. So I'm pretty proud of that.
Now that is amazing. Now I know for sure just the fact that I'm talking to someone who's going to make history and make Black history. Again, I'm honored by the conversation, Ruby. So thank you for that. Now I hear a very unique call out with getting funding for your business and your business model. I guess give me a little bit more details. What have you and teach me? Do you have business partners or who are you working with as a part of your business?
We have an advisory team. However, we don't, I only have one partner, and that's my domestic partner.
Okay.
He's my partner in business also. I was able to come up with the designs, and he was, as a civil engineer, he was able to put it all down on paper. We have designed everything from split king all the way down to a doll bed. And you're going to imagine, well, why a doll bed? It's because of the way that our sheet and our duvet cover are shaped. On the corners, we lose anywhere from 1.5 to 2 yards of fabric. So instead of losing that, we've come up with the idea of making a doll bed to go along with a toddler bed to show children. And a book comes along with it to teach a child how to make the bed and also how to tuck the monster underneath.
Nice. All right. So, what have you all done for funding so far? Have you gone to banks, looked for grants, loans? What's been the process so far?
I've filed for several grants and haven't been granted any of them. Uh, like I said, we're seniors, both of us,
Sure.
and we put about approximately $400,000 into this company,
Okay.
and we just are not going to go into debt. We'll just figure it out. We're launching. We just launched our new website a couple of weeks ago. We're
Okay.
still paying that off. We are. We have launch date for this fall and a delivery in February. And there is a real specific reason why we want to deliver in February. For one thing, on February the 13th, it will be 67 years since the invention of the fitted sheet. The 14th is Valentine's, and it's also Black History Month.
All right. Good stuff. Um, let me let me kind of pivot around. I am going to definitely come back to the funding opportunity, but you mentioned you're launching. So currently, no formal sales, or do you all have any pre-sales kind of built up in the business so far?
That's what we just put on our new website. We're pre-selling our products.
Gotcha. Perfect.
Hopefully, we can get enough funding that we can actually get the product manufactured and delivered by February.
All right. And are you doing anything, let's say like a Kickstarter campaign type of format?
I'm actually working with a gentleman on Alignable, and we're in the process of trying to work this all out.
Okay.
And to put the feeler out there, we're also looking for a manufacturer in the US.
Mm, okay. All right. And so, for kind of coming back specifically for funding, Ruby, have you guys created a detailed business plan behind this entire venture as well?
Yes, we have a business plan and a pitch deck that we're willing to send out to anyone today.
All right. So, it sounds like what we need right now are the right connections to get your product, your invention in front of more viable candidates that are willing to either invest and or provide appropriate fundings. That kind of where we're at.
Yes. But if we could get consumers, if we can start getting the word out and getting consumers to start buying our product,
All right. So,
we
uh,
can bootstrap it.
all right. So, a couple of ideas that are coming to mind. Or I guess let me ask this as I'm kind of thinking through a few thoughts. Um, what is your presence online? So, what social media platforms are you and your partner currently promoting the products on?
We're on every social media there is. Well, almost. We're on Instagram, Facebook, um, LinkedIn, Alignable, Pinterest. Let's see what else is out there. I think that's about where we are right now.
All right. And tell me about your target audience. So, who's your ideal buyer for your product?
Seniors, which is what we are, it was designed because of the disabilities that we have. Seniors are our main people that we're looking at. However, I did research on the blind and I watched a video of a 15-year-old making a bed for the first time because it was so complicated to make a bed when you're blind. And so that's one of our audiences also,
Okay.
or anyone with a physical handicap.
Okay. So, what's the market opportunity? So, and I'm asking because obviously I don't know for sure, but I have feelings about your target audience. But so, if we're targeting seniors and blind slash handicap, what does that market look like for you? What are they? Do you have any data on what they're spending per year on sheets or bed accessories or anything?
Oh, yes.
Okay.
Seniors, we're the ones, fortunately, we're the ones with the most money, the baby boomers.
Hmm. Okay. Interesting.
Yeah, and we're going after the baby boomers. But like I said, we've been working on this for 9 years. So without money, all I've been doing is putting together a company that's going to actually dominate the bedding industry. We're going to revolutionize the bedding industry and bring it into the 21st century.
Nice.
Isn't it about time?
All right, fantastic. I love it. Are you guys pitching to any stores? Are you looking at, the Walmarts, the Targets, those kinds of organizations to get your product into?
Actually, no, because of the fact that our product's so different, it
Okay.
would be hard for us to put it into next to your typical sheets and expect people to understand how different it really is. Um, we are we have we're waiting for samples to come in. There's a Hilton in Las Vegas that's doing a case study on how much time, labor cost, and workers comp that our products can save compared to the traditional.
Perfect. Well, and that I love that you said that. That my thought was going to go there well as well. So differentiating between a bed or a business to consumer product versus a business to business is exactly why I was asking about your target audience. So getting this into hotels, like you just said, or places, resorts, right? So my family and I, we just came back from Disney World. Getting this into locations where constant bed churns are a need, I think would be a really unique opportunity. And the reality is, Ruby, you only need one of those clients that will turn your entire business around. Um,
Exactly.
so let me ask, let's go down that path just for a moment. Have you put together, I call it, the Power 100 list. So the list of 100 businesses that I want my product in. Have you sat back and kind of created a list of what that could look like for you?
Every bedding store in the world,
Yeah, but
especially in Europe, because our duvet cover is so unique
Mhm.
and they're sold. That's all they use in Europe, but they're not very popular here in the US because of the complicated way of having to stuff it.
Okay.
So we're hoping to make it more popular here in the US.
Okay. So I would encourage you, your partner, come up with a list, like literally a detailed list of the 100 businesses that you want to get your product into. And then we strategically knock on each one of those doors and make our impression felt, get on their radars. But that is, it's a strategy that I encourage to a lot of my clients is to create the list. We're not going to get there by accident, but we're going to be really intentional on how we target, call them out, let them know what problem we're solving for them. But creating the list is the first part of that.
Actually, I'm working with a company called Larnell Allen Sourcing,
Okay.
and he's actually in the hospitality industry.
Okay.
What he brings to the table is he has this antimicrobial, it's hard to pronounce,
Yes, ma'am.
solution that will be 7%. Okay, our sheets are Egyptian cotton. 93% of the sheet will be Egyptian cotton, but there is a 7% of this solution which will ward off viruses. Um, you won't have to wash your bedding as often. And there is a lot of benefits for it.
Okay.
And so he's the one who's taking us, he's advertising us to the hospitality and assistant living and even hospitals. Imagine how much time the hospitals can save, especially during the time of COVID.
Hmm.
A hospital corner, which is what they do in a hospital, it's a 7-step process.
Yeah.
You don't need railings like you did when the hospital corner was invented. So all our bedding does is all you do is one tuck at the very bottom, and imagine how much time that's going to save to the hospital industry. So we want to actually, it's hard to pull out 100 because we want it all. We feel like it's time that bedding came into the 21st century. We were in Europe years ago and we saw a bed that was 350 years old.
Okay. Interesting.
Bedding has never changed. No significant change until now.
Yeah, but I still want to come back to this encouragement. So if I understand the desire to want it all, and you can have it all, but I guess I want to get you a starting point because if you try to grab it all, there is always the chance that you will grab nothing in return.
Yeah.
But if you're very targeted, and I'm making up an example here, of course, but again, hospitality. So if you all come up with a list of the top 20 hospitality companies in Europe, then speaking towards their unique needs with your product can have a totally different impact versus trying to just speak to the hospitality industry as a whole.
You
So
know,
that's the encouragement I wanted to share for you there.
a couple of years ago, we went to It's a summit. It was in Florida. It's called NABHOOD.
Okay.
NABHOOD is National Association of Black Hotel Owners.
Okay.
They own over 700 hotels.
Oh, I didn't know that was a thing. That's interesting.
I didn't either. But I went there hoping, because of the fact that, it's historic. You've got historic bedding coming out.
Hmm.
I thought for sure we could get it into the Black hotel owners. That cost us about $8,000 to make that trip.
Okay.
And it was to no avail. So we have reached out.
Well,
I
what?
have contacted hotels. We are both B2B and B2C. We have our e-commerce site. We're looking at Airbnb.
All right.
Also, we're
Yeah. So maybe articulate this. This is kind of a challenge that I've placed on a number of business owners, and don't know if you've heard me say it on some of the morning meetups that we've done. If you only had two sentences to describe the problem that you solve with your product, how would you articulate the problem that you solve?
one real word: accessible.
Okay, so what's the problem with accessibility?
Accessibility is what you see for people that are disabled, people that are blind. You see handicap accessible all over the place. Our bedding is accessible. It was invented because of the challenges that the blind have, the challenges that seniors have with disabilities in making a bed. Instead of doing a hospital corner, you do one tuck and you're done. And your bedding is going to stay in place until you're ready to do laundry.
Okay, so then the problem with accessibility is that you all are making it convenient, very doable for the elderly, for the disabled to be able to make their beds. Is that what I'm hearing?
Yes. And even for a child, a child can't make a 7-step hospital corner,
Mhm.
but we can show them how simple it is to teach a toddler how to make a bed.
Okay, so now when you went to the conference meeting that you went to down in Florida, is that the problem that you presented to them? Is that you've created a product that makes it easier for the elderly, for the young, for the disabled to better make their beds? Or
Well,
what was
actually,
the problem that you presented to them?
when I went to Florida, it was to show them how we could save them in labor cost, time, and workers' comp cases.
Okay.
Because
And
there's a lot of injuries in the hospitality industry because of the heavy mattresses that the maids have to pick up.
okay.
And if they didn't have to do a hospital corner, which is a 7-step process, they only had to do one tuck. And I don't know about you, but every hotel I've ever stayed in, the first thing I do when I'm in there is untuck the bottom of the bed because I don't like having my feet like they're in prison.
No, I think
So
yeah, for me, the first thing I do is probably hop on the bed and cut on the TV because I've probably driven for hours to get there. Um, but no, no, ma'am. Like, so again, I guess what I want to highlight though is that the problem that you would be solving for them obviously would be totally different than the other problem. So I want to kind of go back to the question I just asked. So you have two sentences to define the problem you solve for, let's say, for the hospitality industry. What is the problem you're solving?
I'm the problem I'm solving is saving them time.
Okay.
Am I getting it wrong? Saving them time, labor cost, and workers' comp? That's a problem for the hospitality industry.
Okay.
And I'm helping eliminate that problem with easy make bedding.
Okay. And do you have a feeling for what percent of that problem you're solving through your product?
59% of the people that go into a hotel, the first thing they do when they get in bed is to untuck that foot.
Hmm. Okay. Interesting.
And if you never had to untuck that foot, just think of how much time you're going to save. And I've been on vacation and stayed in a hospital. I mean, stayed in a hotel
Mhm.
5 days. Every night I go to bed, I untuck that. Every morning, the maid comes in, she tucks it back in. What if she didn't have to tuck it in every single morning? Look how much time. We feel that we can save them as much as 40% time in time saving.
Okay. And even with that value proposition, they didn't buy into the messaging?
I never got a chance to talk to them.
Hmm. Okay. All right. So, I mean, it sounds like you're hitting in the right areas. I would imagine time, cost, definitely if you could also connect it into customer satisfaction, those would be the things I would assume that target market would buy into. So I'm still curious. I feel like I'm still maybe diagnosing the opportunity a little bit, but that's kind of where I would assume the messaging should have centered around anyway. So, but you mentioned you didn't get a chance. What was the barrier there?
All you can do is explain, I don't know what I could have done different. I was there presenting our product,
Mhm.
showing everyone exactly what we had to offer.
Okay.
And I came back with an answer from actually the founder of Naphood, and he says that they have standards. And it's almost like you're going to catch hell breaking in. You know, we have everything is standard in every single hotel that you go into.
Hmm.
That's what he told me. So obviously, we have to show them a change can make a difference,
Sure.
but we have to get them to listen first.
All right. I guess teach me about the follow up process. Do you guys have any drip campaigns or formal meetup processes to nurture the relationships after an engagement like that, for example?
It was really funny. I never heard back from them for an entire year after that summit.
Mhm.
And I heard back from them when they wanted me to next year's. And I wrote them and told them, I haven't heard from you in a year. So I got a call from the founder,
Okay.
but it didn't go anywhere other than that. Are you coming this year?
All right.
No, I
But
didn't have another 8 grand.
yeah, so I guess still, do you have a formal nurture process in your business that would have kind of nurtured that relationship? It sounds like
No,
in that
maybe I
example,
don't.
they,
Maybe I don't.
okay, yeah, and didn't sound like you did, but I wanted to be clear. So I think
Yeah.
that could be something to implement. So at a very, very big picture, we call those drip campaigns, and it essentially becomes an automated set of communications that we can use to nurture, stay connected with, whether they are partners, prospects, clients, etc. But definitely something to consider because it sounds like if you're going to be breaking through a lot of barriers, then the opportunity to educate people on the benefits and like each one of those benefits you named, to me, they sound like they should hit in the right direction. If they're not getting it on the first set of communication, that's where it may take 3, 5, 7, 10 times of them hearing the same thing over and over. But that's what a drip campaign does. It allows us to educate on a continuous basis without you physically having to say the same thing 50,000 times, right?
You know, um, we are finally to the point where we are looking into marketing. Um,
Okay.
we have, I have reached out to a gentleman on Alignable. He is very helpful.
Okay.
He seems like he can help us go in a great direction. You can help us out too.
Oh, well, I was going to say the biggest thing, if nothing else, I mean, take some of what we're talking about here. If you got somebody, let them know, or happy to have a conversation to share these ideas, with him as well. But that is part of, this is me putting on my business coaching hat, Ms. Russell, and saying, if I heard these opportunities, these would probably be some of the starting points to get you that momentum that you're looking for. But definitely, it sounds like a lot of education. If you're working with potential people who are used to their standards, they kind of are locked in their ways, but you have a better solution, then they need to really take the time to understand. That's where that strategy comes into play at.
Jarvis, after all this time, it's something that we've realized for a long time, but we
Mhm.
didn't have the money to do it, was for marketing.
Okay.
And we realized that marketing is going to be the key. And that's what we're in the process of trying to do, is get the word out, because
Well,
it is time for a change. You can spend more time in bed and less time making it with our products.
yeah,
And we also want to teach people the importance of their sleep. Do you have any idea how many people that die of sleep deprivation every year? There are 259 million people in the world that are visually impaired. There are 49 million that are blind. By the year 2050, because of diabetes and all of it, other things, that number is supposed to double. So yeah, the blind, the disabled, and look at the seniors, the blind, disabled, those are important customers to us.
gotcha. But so a couple of things, and I want to respect your time again. So I'll slowly kind of get us to a wrap up point. And I want to give a shout out to Chrissy. Chrissy's one of my business clients that's kind of plugging into our conversation here, Ms. Ruby. Um, she says hello for you, but
Well, tell her hello.
you just did, girl. You just did.
Well, she could just come on and I could see her.
No, but Miss Ruby, after our call here, I'd love to share a resource with you. It's a video that I share that I share as often as I can. It's called "Everything You Know About Marketing Is Wrong," and the whole goal of this short video is just really sharing a framework that I hope, and I know it from experience, even working with folks like Chrissy, that it can help to change the trajectory of the marketing that you choose to do in your business. But essentially, there's a model that I would encourage you to learn, and that's the whole point of this video. Um, it's a 4-step marketing messaging framework that starts with what we call an interrupt. Now, this interrupt is where we communicate to our target audience, whether it's, the folks in the hospitality industry, or even if it's a senior who's at a point where they're struggling to do the basics of making their bed. But the interrupt basically highlights the problem they have and don't want. So that kind of goes back to the question I said earlier, which is, what's the problem you solve? I think with your passion behind everything that you've done over the last 9 years, now your future marketing opportunity, Ruby, is going to be calling out, hey, we have an amazing product that solves this problem that you have that you don't want. But then the second part of that framework is understanding that there is a solution that they want that they don't have. So now again, how do you message that appropriately? Then the third part, and I think this is going to be the part that's going to be pure fire for you, is we have to educate them. And you said it a couple of times in our conversation today. Hey, it's time for a change. I saw a 300-year-old bed, and this thing has not changed in at least 300 years, right? So now you and your partner, you all have to educate, educate, educate. And that becomes multiple touch points, like we talked about earlier. And then the very last piece of that whole model is that we have to make an offer. And it has to be an offer that they can't refuse, or if they refuse it, it's an offer that they just feel like absolute idiots for not saying yes. And so that's a model that I teach to my clients, but it's a video that I love to share. And if that helps, again, the person you're going to be working with, share it with him or her as well. And, all of the marketing that you can do, it should not cost a lot, but getting that framework is so, so important. And that's what I see a lot of people kind of burn out on really quickly, is that they just don't have the framework. So that's something I'd love to share and just kind of provide more details on that for you.
That's great because I know bedding, Jason, but I don't know marketing.
Sure.
I don't know investing. I know what I don't know, and I'm the first person to admit it. I don't know jack about marketing. So that's why I'm reaching out.
All right. Well, that's, the whole purpose of this show is to really talk through these types of strategies because from my experience doing this for way too long at this point, that's the experience that I have is that small business owners are experts at the things that they do, but it's the strategies, the marketing, the sales, those are things that can be intimidating. So that's exactly why I started this podcast, is just to talk it out and hopefully simplify it because everything you do from the first time we met on one of our morning calls, Miss Ruby, I told you as soon as you talked about your product, I was like, hey, I hate making beds, tell me more, right? So again, I'm really thrilled at what you've invented, and I definitely want to see you win with everything. So I will send that short video. It may be 45 minutes, but it's really, really good.
I'm
And
looking forward to it.
yeah, I hope that's helpful. Let me wrap us up, Miss Ruby, and just ask anything just top of mind, anything else that we could touch on before I let you go.
Yeah, if after this conversation, if you have any ideas, please drop me a line, because we need all the help we can get. We haven't been able to get this out, get the word out. And like I said, we're two seniors. I've been offered $10 million for the company.
Right.
But
Right.
it's not all about money. It's what we want to do with the money. We have ideas of the American Cancer Society, HBCUs, and the homeless. And my partner is going to be 95 on the 28th of this month. I'm 72. At our age, it's all about a legacy
Nice.
where we want to do something good. And the best way for us to do that is to dominate the industry, make all the money, and do the good things that we want to do with it. Because I
Well,
have
and
a
I,
good life.
yeah, I love again. We were talking right before we started broadcasting that the gift and the curse of an entrepreneur is there's probably no real thing as retirement. So I love that you all are in the silver years and still trying to kill it. You're inspiring me. This now becomes a goal as I get older and older. I'm gonna keep you in mind is just to keep pushing on all the goals and the legacy building.
Well, we started this company because we ran out of things to do.
Like I'm bored. I'm just gonna start another business. So
Well, we remodeled his home, we remodeled mine. We've traveled around the world. And when he injured his back, I needed something to do. So I invented this sheet, and it kind of saved us during COVID. It gave us something to get up and look forward to every day. I look forward to every day of getting up, going to work in my living room.
All right. Well, Ruby, do me a favor and please take a moment to just tell us everything we need to know. Where can we find you? Where can we find Befitted? Just all of the above. I want to make sure that our audience today gets a chance to learn more about everything that you're building.
I'm on LinkedIn, Ruby Russell. We're on Instagram, Pinterest, Facebook, Facebook, because we have Befitted and Stay Put. So we're on most of the social media. And please go to our website at befittedbedding.com. Leave your email and we'll send you updates on what's coming up.
All right, fantastic. And also, after our call today, I might send a few, or not even a might. I am going to send a few additional emails, Ruby. I got some folks that I'd love to get you connected with. That again, just sharing your story. If they can find a way to get behind you and at least add more visibility, but hopefully some funding, just some more connections. But I am so honored, thrilled, thankful for your time today, and just to hear your story. It's very inspiring.
Thank you. And the best funding we could get is to get consumers to start buying our products.
There you go. That's it. That takes care of all the funding needs, right? Uh,
Yeah. And, you know, and then we're going to write a book about bootstrapping to billions.
oh, dope title. Love it already. All right, Ruby. Thank you again for everyone who's plugging in with our conversation today. Thank you for making us a part of your day. So until next time, this is Jarvis and Ruby wishing you all more leads, more customers, and more profits in your business. Take care, everyone.
Thank you so much, Jarvis. It's been a real pleasure.
Same here. Same here.
Thank you.